Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Joffrey Noodle Legs and welcome to another late night horror show. And in fact today I'm actually filming this in the daytime, just because I've got a lot of shifts and stuff, so I can't really sometimes do it late at night, but I put it out late at night, so yeah, it's the same thing. So I hope you're all doing well. Hope all my little horror friends are having a grisly year and enjoying yourselves with watching loads of horror movies and having a really good time. So you may remember I did this a few weeks ago. I'm going to try and do it once a month and just make it like a little, just sort of information video about maybe some news of stuff that's happening in the horror world, and any sort of like news that I've been up to, any sort of subjects you want me to discuss down below, let me know and I'll put them in and I'll have a little look and discuss them for you. So today, first of all, news. There's a couple of new bits of news coming in April. As you may well know, hitting the cinemas this month is the Evil Dead Rise. Now this is I don't really know if it's like a follow-on from the first three, but it might be more of a follow-on from the sort of remake. But it does look completely different, and it's sort of like set in a different place, a little bit like the last Scream film, where that was like a real sort of move away from the original. Again, I've not seen that yet, so but I'll probably have to wait for that to come out on DVD. But hopefully in April, I'll be popping down to Stevenage to see The Lad. So I should hopefully be able to pop in and see Evil Dead Rises. So that's out in April in cinemas. Also out this month on 4K Blu-ray and I don't know if it's on DVD. I wouldn't have thought so. But Second Sight are releasing their version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Toby Hooper's 1970s classic exploitation slasher film. This has now got a real sort of like 4K upgrade, and he's releasing like a collector's edition, which I do have on order, and like a standard 4K edition. And I think there's a Blu-ray edition as well. So that's coming out in this month in April. I believe that the collector's edition has like the 4K movie, the Blu-ray version, and has a hardback book and some art cards, and comes in like one of sort of like Second Sight's hardback boxes. You know, a bit like my Witch box set. So it's going to be similar to that, but on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that'd be quite interesting to see how well that's been upgraded. So I have pre-ordered that, quite looking forward to that. So when that arrives, I will do some sort of unboxing. So that's the sort of two news items I've got for you this month. Obviously, Evil Dead Arise hitting the cinema, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre getting a brand new sort of release here in the UK on 4K. In other news, me and the lads should be going to Sheffield in May to the HorrorCon. So if any of you there, please come and say hello to me. I'll always be there to say hello to. So hopefully I'll be able to film some footage there. We're not sure what we're going to be actually doing there, but we're hoping to. The lad's hoping to get his Hellraiser signed by Brad Dudley. They have all the other Cenobites there now as well, but when you add it all up, it gets quite pricey. So he's hoping to meet Doug Bradley. So I was looking at Kane Hodder, but then I thought he's quite expensive, and I've actually met him and already got a signed photo of him. So I don't really feel the need to. At the moment, I don't know if there's any guests I actually want to sort of like meet there. But who knows? Yeah, so we should be going along to that in May, the end of May, I believe it is, in Sheffield. So if you are going to the HorrorCon, come and say hello. Always be good to see you. Got a couple of new pickups to go through with you. This month, so I bought 2 new movies. One's a DVD because it's only available on DVD here in the UK, and it's the new Hellraiser film. This has finally come out. It's on Paramount Pictures, so I'm hoping to do a review on my channel. Fingers crossed it doesn't get blocked. So we'll have a little look at this. Comes with a slip case and another cover, same cover. As you can see, I have not opened it yet. It's my way of opening it. I always use my teeth just to get a start on it. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to watching this. This is the new Hellraiser that came out last year, but was only available on sort of streaming on Tubi, whatever it's called, and then eventually came over to Amazon Prime. But I waited for the disc, and it just comes with the disc. Absolutely nothing great about that. Shall we have a little look, see if there's any special features? I don't think there's any. Looking at the box, guys, I don't think there's any special features at all. Nope, no special features. So you just get the plain movie on DVD. It'll probably have a few setting options like sound, and it'll probably have screen selections and play movie, I reckon. So nothing on that one, which is a bit shame, but still good to have it at last. So I've got that this month, and from Second Sight I picked up one of my favourite films, George Romero's Martin. This is my favourite George Romero film, Martin, and it's probably my 3rd favourite vampire movie. I've been waiting for this to come out for a while. I have it on DVD, but now eventually it's all got to come out. This is the 4K release of it, and it's by Second Sight. So it's amazing we finally got this. It's been something I've been wanting to come out on Blu-ray since Blu-ray came out, because I love Martin. I saw it when I was a young lad in the 80s, and I loved it since. Really, really cool film. So let's unbox it anyway. Take off the cellophane, and I'll show you what's in the box. And then we'll go through the special features. Okay, so it's got one of those cards on the front, one of those slip card things. Yeah, so hopefully you should be able to fold that, and I'm going to try and put it inside. The back has got a really cool sort of like crucifix with the blood dripping off it. I really love that, and I love the sort of the imagery on the front there, the sort of vampire teeth with the razor blade, because this is a different kind of vampire movie. I won't go into too much detail of it because, again, I want to review it on my channel. So let's have a little look what we've got inside. Oh, quite stiff. There we go. Right, so first of all, we have this, which is contains the discs. 3 discs. You have your 4K movie, you have the Blu-ray, and you have the CD soundtrack to Martin. Very cool. Well done, Second Sight. More films need to do this with the soundtracks. You know, it's crazy, isn't it? Can you imagine Halloween with the soundtrack? You know, Friday the 13th with the soundtrack. More films need to do it. So yeah, it's got the 4K, the Blu-ray, and the soundtrack. Let's pop that back in there. It has a booklet. I must say it's quite a worthy, thick booklet, with loads and loads of essays in there. It is just... this is not a story, guys. These are essays about the making of. And it also has loads of sort of photographs in there from the film, which is really cool. And what I love, it's got all these different sort of posters from different countries. I love stuff like that when it's got like different artwork. Chess one there, really cool, and I love the artwork, absolutely amazing. Great booklet, really cool. A lot of reading, really chuffed with that. So let's try and see if we can pop that back in there with the movies. And it also comes with a set of art cards. Let's have a look at those. Right, see if we can get this off. Go. And it's got a set of, I think it's 5 art cards of sort of like different characters. And these are not sort of like photos, they're like art pieces of artwork, you know, people's sort of drawings or paintings of them. And I quite like that. There's nothing on the back of these. Very cool. See, they're all plain on the back. That would have been nice to have the sort of Martin logo or the crucifix on the back. Would have been quite cool. It's Tom Savini. He stars in the film. But just imagine if you meet any of these stars at Comic Cons and you can get these cards signed. Really cool. Last but not least, really nice. So you've got 5 art cards, and they're good sized cards, guys. They're not like little postcards. These are a good size. So you've got 5 of those. You've got that amazing booklet, which is absolutely stunning. And you've got the CD soundtrack. You've got the Blu-ray, and you've got the 4K. There's one more thing we need to look at, isn't there? The special features. So what we'll do to look at that, I'll use the little card and we'll have a little look to see what special features we have on here. You're right. This is the limited edition with the rigid slipcase with original classic artwork. Soft cover book with new essays from Daniel Bird, Miranda Corcoran, Travis Crawford, Heather Drain, Kate Ellinger, Andrew Graves, Alexandra Helen Nicholas, Eleanor Lazick, Stephen Thrower, John Tosson, Simon Ward and Tony Williams. Original soundtrack by Donald Rubinstein, and 5 collector's cards illustrated by Adam Stothard. The special features on the disc are a new second sight restoration supervised and approved by Director of Photography Michael Gornick. Now, I love stuff like that. Obviously, George Romero is no longer with us, so he obviously couldn't have any input to this edition, but they still managed to get the actual original photographer that did sort of like the filming to actually help restore it. Presented in HDR. There's an audio commentary from George A. Romero with John Aplus and Tom Savini. Audio commentary with George Romero, Richard Rubinstein and Tom Savini. Michael Gornick and Donald Rubinstein. A new audio commentary with Kat Ellinger. So there's loads of audio commentaries. A new audio commentary by Travis Crawford. A Taste of Blood of Martin. A new feature-length documentary including location tour. I believe this documentary is like 1 hour and 10 minutes. So that's really cool. I love stuff like that. So you've got a feature-length documentary on the making of the film, including the locations and probably what they're like now. Um, Score in the Shadow, a new interview with composer Donald Rubinstein. J. Roy, New and Used Furniture, a short film by Tony Buber. And Making Martin, a recounting. Trailers, TV, and radio spots. So it's loaded with special features. So that's absolutely incredible. It's amazing. So to have one of my favourite movies come out with all this, um, that's amazing. So Martin, it's a required sort of watch, but I love it. It's a really cool film. A lot of people, when they see it for the first time, they don't know how to take it. It's one of those films that need a few viewings, I think. I love the film. I absolutely love it. So I'm so chuffed that those two come out this month. So that's cool. Really, really cool. Um, I was these last few weeks. I've been doing quite a few sort of different sort of reviews, like some from China, some from Italy, and it got me thinking about horror from around the world, how sort of horror is perceived around the world, and how different from different countries. Like here in the UK, our horror films are quite they've got a sense of real English politeness about them, haven't they? You know, like the Hammer films and the Amicus films, they're all ever so polite amongst all this sort of horror. And you know, recently the English films are becoming a lot more sort of sort of sort of stark and a bit more darker. But you know, before our horror films were always quite um yeah, I'd say polite and you know, because and really well made with good costumes and this sort of thing, and that's always been really important to the British horror film. Obviously, over the years now, we're sort of coming to make films that are a bit more darker and a bit more realistic. Um, and then you've got Korea, who tend to make really extreme horror films. You know, there's no messing around with Korea, and you know, and China. Their horror films are quite extreme. They're quite violent. And then you've got Japan, and a lot of their sort of films are very sort of similar, and they're all sort of like a lot of them are ghost and haunting sort of stories. So yeah, can you see what I'm getting at? It's all different to all around the world, and then you have America that obviously anything sort of goes in their sort of horror films. Um, they're very sort of like exploitation kind of horror, and they all seem to be quite gory, and but again they're still quite similar, and a lot of the films are quite similar from America, but all around the world horror seems to mean different things to different people, you know. And in Europe, European horror I find very beautiful and more of an art form in Europe. That the films are more arty, and 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 I quite like that. And this is why I think horror is an amazing genre, because it's like from all around the world you can see horror and how people perceive it differently and what's horror to them, you know. And I love that. I really do. And what country makes the best horror films? Well, that's easy. All of them, you know, because they're all amazing. They're all different. You've even got like South America to make horror films, and again, they're a little bit like the Korean films. They quite can be quite extreme. Um, Again, that's probably to do with the lifestyle. troubled past, and that's made their films can be quite extreme. I think that's where it comes from. And Europe, there's a lot of artwork, a lot of artists, and a lot of sort of like flamboyant sort of way of life of like Italy and France and Spain, and their films sort of show that in the way that they're filmed. And I was thinking about that, and I thought that's how horror sort of works. And because I was thinking, what country makes the best horror films? And I sat for quite a while trying to think, you know, which country makes the best horror films? And I was just thinking, they all do, but they're all just so different. You know, if you get films from like Scandinavia, they're extremely beautiful, but extremely harsh. Like, and a lot of their films revolve around the weather. You know, and if you get some other films like in Italy and Spain, they're very sensual films and have quite a sexual sort of um, ingredient to the films. And here in the UK, it's all about being sort of proper and being taken out of that situation of what's normal. Well, in America, it's whatever goes, isn't it? But that's the beauty of American cinema, I think, because that they got, because there's so many people there and it's such a vast country, they got so many minds and so many ideas. Where here we're a different sort of smaller country, and sort of like what happens up north of England happens down the south. So we're all kind of like the same. So that's why our horror can seem like our life. But it's kind of really cool, really cool. It's really interesting. Um, I don't know, you know, I'm still thinking about it now. Which country makes the best horror films? You know, I don't think England do. I don't think Britain make the best horrors. I think they make some cracking horror films. They make some absolute brilliant horror films, but then they can make some absolute awful films. Um, Italy seems to be the more good, like everything's good. You know, it's all quite samey, but it's all good, and so they're quite a strong contender. Unfortunately, they don't seem to make as many horror films out. France and Europe tend to have a bigger sort of horror market, and they make some good films. But yeah, it's difficult. So I'm going to say the country that makes the best horror movies is all of them. Okay, you've just got to appreciate that they're all different cultures with different backgrounds, so all their horrors are different, but all together make the horror genre complete. You know, because I don't know if I have any sort of Russian horror. I mean, I have things like Chernobyl Diaries, but I don't think that's a Russian film. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's difficult because some of these countries, it's quite hard to see what they have actually been watching, and it would be really cool to see what sort of horror films you get from Russia, or obviously Australia and stuff. We've had films like Wolf Creek and that. So again, their films are quite similar to the American market. They're all sort of exploitation kind of films. Um, but yeah, isn't it quite interesting, isn't it? And I mean Canada. I don't see many horror films out of there since the sort of David Cronenberg movies. But yeah, let me know down below what your opinion is on that, on like different sort of countries and different cultures, sort of like version of horror. Because like some things that we think is horror in some countries are not, you know, and vice versa, you know. So it's really quite an interesting big subject. But I've been thinking about it this week and thinking, I wonder what people actually think. Um, will think which country makes the best horror movies. It's obvious to say America because it's so vast and they sort of have every genre, but that doesn't necessarily mean they make the best movies, you know. Because I say the Korean films are very extreme, but they're awesome and they're so well made. So it's so difficult, so difficult. bless me waffling, but that's what I was just trying to. That's what I've been thinking about this last few weeks about world horror and who makes the best. So, and I come to the conclusion that we're all great. I like to sit on the fence, because I just don't want to upset anyone, I suppose. But yeah, every country makes amazing and awful horror films, so it's cool. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in to this little late night horror show. So, just to recap, we got The Evil Dead Rises coming out in the cinema. We have Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming out from Second Sight, who produced in a box set similar to this. It's going to be like this, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So they're out over the next in April. Got a couple of pickups there that I've shown you, Hellraiser and Martin, and I just wanted to let you know how I felt about which country makes the best horror movies. So, after all this waffle and jibber jabber from me, I want you to look after yourselves, right? Check out some horror channels for me: Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, Irish Designs, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House, Pizzlewell, I Am the Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Sarah of Horror. All really cool channels, guys. Until next time, look after yourselves, don't have nightmares, and I hope I'll see you all soon.